Those who can do. Those who can't, talk about those who can. Now, can you or can you not? Or you just want to sit on the sideline and talk about other people? Or can you still?
Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. Wake up, guys. Man, it has been a whirlwind. It has been crazy. And I got to say, it is the Players' Day off, and I need this. I need a break, man. From the Micah Parsons being traded that whole week leading up to the Cowboys versus the Eagles. And I'm happy to say that some of the Eagle hate is tamped down just a little bit. I can breathe again. And then, of course, we had the Friday night game. We had the 3-hour meltdown live stream with the members here on Saturday. Then we had almost 11 hours straight. 11 hours straight. Holy moly on Sunday. And we had what started out as a snooze fest game last night that ended up being another incredible turnaround. This is insane how this season is already going with the games here. Typically, and we've got a big one here come the day after tomorrow. The Commanders with the left hand up, getting a new stadium. RFK is nothing but a skeleton. Going against the Green Bay Packers. Now all of a sudden a Super Bowl favorite contender with Micah Parsons on Thursday Night Football. You mean we're not getting the shitty ass games on Thursday Night Football? It's going to be crazy. Because last night, watching the Bears, you saw Cobb Williams. It seemed like he had the light switch had come on, that everything was great. J.J. McCarthy looked like ass, had more yards as a pick six than he had throwing to his own guys. They looked dead in the water. And then all of a sudden, they turned that shit around. They went from 17-3 to running away with the game. This is after, of course, the Ravens versus the Bills in what may be one of the best Sunday night football games you've ever seen, where the Bills were literally down by 15 and ended up coming from behind to win on a night that it was just insane. You had Henry with like 175 yards, Lamar Jackson just looking incredible, but just no defense whatsoever. And it is crazy how this season has already started out. It's been a great week one. And now for our Cowboys, it's a matter of where do we go from here? I was going to play the press conference of Stephen Jones from yesterday. Stephen Jones, of course, does Monday. Jerry Jones usually does Tuesday on the Fan. So we'll see if he's going to be on the Fan today or not, keeping what we've done in the past, or if we're going to change shit. See if they're going to hide Jerry Jones. Here's where I'm going to just give you some of the highlights on this, okay? One of the questions posed to Stephen Jones was, now that the season has started, does that mean that the contracts wait until the offseason? And he pointed out and said, no, we can sign somebody in week 8 just like we can in the offseason. We can get agreements and things like that. And then he was asked about Tyler Smith. We've heard rumors that Tyler Smith's contract is close or being worked on and could be, record breaking, which probably needs to be. But they're working on trying to get that thing situated too. And I don't know if you understand. I know people are still pissed off. Every time we see Micah Parsons get a sack, we're going to be reminded about, man, we let that guy go, okay? I understand that. But at least I feel better about the way that we let go Micah Parsons, at least saying we got 2 number ones, be it at the moment it looks like they're going to be late round, first round picks. But when I see what the Cowboys did with Amari Cooper only getting a 5th round pick, at least we've got draft capital. And I'll remind you that right now, from 2 years ago, we took 1 draft pick. And now we got the slugger and Tyler Guyton Okay, Kyler, you can't do that stuff, man. Although you reminded me of Eric Williams there for a second. You know, you getting that edge and that nastiness. And then Cooper Beebe, who is the juggernaut. That was one first-round pick to get those two guys when we traded back. And you look at it right now, those two guys are the anchor for the future. Now, if the Cowboys do get Tyler Smith's contract done, we're in uncharted territory, because that means the Cowboys' big contracts, there isn't one to do in training camp next year. It takes it off the table. You've already got Bland taken care of. You got Ferguson taken care of. You got Osa and Digazua. I know you'll say, well, what about George Pickens if he works out? Well, George Pickens is going to be one of three things. One, he walks in free agency and you get a comp pick. Two, you get him to a new contract before free agency. Three, he gets franchise tagged and you end up only being able to negotiate with him until July 15th. In which case, it'll all be done before training camp starts. And that's a different way of doing things in business. With the exception of Micah Parsons, the Cowboys have done actually a lot of work. They've brought in a lot of free agents, and they brought them in early enough that they could be here working out, learning the coaches, learning the plays, getting in shape, as opposed to let's go grab some USFL guys at the end of training camp. The other thing you have to look at is this is not a one-year fix. This is, we're building for the next couple of years. We're trying to open up a Super Bowl window. Enter laugh track right now. Go ahead. But the Cowboys are setting a foundation. And here's what you have to understand. When Jerry Jones said all in last year, we thought it meant he was going to be all in on getting just a whole bunch of players right then and there. The all in may have been, we're going all in to start over. And I know as a contractor, when I go through and we do a remodel, you got to tear the shit down first, the old shit out. Rip out the old cabinets and the old plumbing and electrical and everything else and get it down to the bare studs. So you got a new palette to work with. Then you start doing the framing work, you do the new electrical, the plumbing, the changes and things that you need, the groundwork, you start building up. And the groundwork for the Cowboys is the lines. The Cowboys recognized in the late years of Tony Romo, we have to protect him. And that's when we had the golden age of Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, and Travis Frederick. That line got old, but now you look at this and say the Cowboys have reset that. And going forward, it seems like they have a good nucleus to build on. That this group of Cooper Beebe, of Tyler Smith and Tyler Booker and Tyler Guyton and Terrence Steele is a young group that can grow together. The fact that Terrence Steele is the elder statesman is crazy right now. But this is a young team, so there's going to be a learning curve. But after we go through this year and then into next year, you should look at this team getting better and better and stronger and being able to grow together. The other thing that he talked about after the debacle of the Micah Parsons situation is that the locker room is really, really good. You may not like Dak, you may not believe in Dak, but this is truly Dak Prescott's team. The Cowboys wanted to make Micah Parsons a leader. For whatever reason, that did not work out. They tried putting Dak and Micah's lockers together. I don't know who's now beside Dak instead of Micah Parsons. I'd actually like to know that. If anybody knows that, let me know. But that dynamic just didn't work. But you hear constantly Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones talking about Dak, and praising him. He is the de facto leader on this team. And if we're going to go anywhere, we're going to have to protect him. Now, Today, of course, is the day off. The Cowboys players get back out on the field, getting ready for the New York Giants. And the question will the Cowboys be making any changes to the lineup? One of those that's being called out is Jaden Blue inserted into the lineup for Miles Sanders. But I'm going to touch on listening to Brian Schottenheimer yesterday, who was talking about, Jaden Blue, he's a great talent. He looks good and things like that. But he said he's got to understand about consistency. And this is where I'm wondering, we heard the rumors where people said that he was lazy. Is this maybe a little bit of that is true, that he doesn't work as hard as they want him to, and they don't want to just reward bad behavior, that they want you to earn it? I like this element of Brian Schottenheimer. It feels like Brian Schottenheimer has more autonomy than what we've had in the past. That this is Brian Schottenheimer's team, and that the Joneses aren't getting in the way of it. Now, time will tell when we start facing more adversity, if Jerry Jones, much like during training camp, puts his foot into this whole thing and drops a grenade in the middle of the room. But right now, it seems like this is Brian Schottenheimer's team, and that they are going to let him have enough rope to hang himself. The question now is, as we see the Eagles going out and getting Tank Bigsby and things to the roster and getting the edge rusher, that they're still in the process of adding depth and players to the roster for this push. Now the question will the Dallas Cowboys follow in suit? Or will we do the status quo, we believe in our own guys? Well, probably we'll believe in our own guys and won't make too many moves going forward. But that would be the true change that I would like to see with the Dallas Cowboys. If this team is going to go anywhere, it's going to be because of guys like Cooper Beebe. And I actually love listening to Cooper Beebe. His smile is contagious, and he seems like such a nice guy until he gets on the football field. And so I want to play his interview from yesterday.
I was really just trying to get after him, and then next thing you know, it's all over Twitter, all over the place.
Has he been doing boxing training in the off season?
He has, yes. Yeah.
Can you just kind of tell me a little bit about his progression? You guys have kind of had a similar, trajectory with the franchise, but from his rookie year to getting off to a decent start, given the injury that he had in training camp. What do you kind of make of his progression?
I mean, he's doing great, especially like you said, coming off an injury like that. Having to battle back. I mean, I've just seen him throughout OTAs and all that stuff, just in here grinding. Man, he's in here. One of the first dudes in here, last dudes to leave, getting treatment all the time, and I'm just so proud of him. Obviously we came in together, and it sucks to see somebody get hurt, but to see him battle back like that, it just shows how resilient he is and how willing to work he is.
Going back to the punch, I mean, this happens a lot in football, right? Like, calls get missed all the time. Like, there's a lot of stuff that does sneak past the officials. Is it nice to be on the, the positive side of that for once?
Yeah.
And not get called for something?
No, it's nice. Obviously, if you get, if they do call a penalty there, it could be a drive killer. And, the unfortunate
he's got to control that shit.
They'll go back and, if it's not called in the field, they'll make sure he hears about it, later, whether that's his, who knows if he gets fined or anything like that. But that's the unfortunate part. You can still get fined for stuff that wasn't called, but it is what it is. And, it wasn't anything intentional he was trying to do. It just happened to, happen to happen.
We talked to Ferg the other day. He said you're one of the more surprising vocal leaders on the offense. Why would he say that?
I think just the fact, I play center. You have to be the guy that directs traffic. I call the protections, run scheme, and stuff like that. So it just kind of comes with the job, making sure dudes are all going the right way. We're all on the same page. Everybody knows what's happening. So, it kind of just comes with the job.
And what did you make of the Week 1 performance? Felt like some plays got left out there, but...
Yeah, I definitely think, there's just a lot of missed opportunities. We get the ball back twice with a chance to go down and score and win the game, and, we don't get it done. And obviously as an offense, that was really disappointing. We started off really strong, and, there in the second half we wouldn't do anything. And, the defense stepped up, made stops, and, we got to capitalize. We got to play complementary football, but, there's no moral victories, but I'm excited where this team's headed. Just the mentality, the effort was there, the energy was there. That's something we need to continue week after week.
Can you speak to the fact that this is another divisional game? You definitely don't want to go down 0-2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't go down 0-2.
Obviously, division games are a little bit more important than other games, but at the end of the day, it's the next opportunity to go out there and compete, and that's how we're treating it as. We obviously didn't get off to the start we wanted, so we're looking to bounce back week 2.
When you look at Javonte and what he did there, what did you like as you guys saw the film?
I think the biggest thing is just a dude that runs hard. He's not afraid of contact. He's the dude that he's going to, put his nose down, put his head down, and get you 4, and that's what you want in a running back. Blocking schemes may not always be perfect, but if you got a dude that's willing to run hard, he can make a lot of things happen.
Playing with Tyler that first game over there on the right side, what did you guys see, and then what did you learn from that you can take into this game against the Giants?
I think really the biggest thing was just getting the feels for different combination blocks and stuff like that, and just getting in that groove. Obviously, the more reps you get together, the more cohesive it is, and I'm just looking forward to continue to get those reps. I mean, he's a really smart player, big, strong guy, so it's fun having him next to me.
Your communication with Dak after that first game, and how did you feel you two together?
Good. I think one of the biggest, that was one of the biggest areas that I improved from year 1 to year 2. Is just being that vocal guy, knowing my things, making sure everybody's on the same page. And I think, Dak has that trust in me this year to allow me, obviously he has the final say, but I think just, the way I prepare, the way I get ready, he has the trust in me, that I'm going to make the right calls and get things done.
Any guys give you any grief about Army over the weekend, man?
Oh, man. I went back for that game. I've never – oh, yeah, it was a tough watch. I watched Army do a 2-minute drill right before half. I think they threw the ball once, and to drive down the field like that, it's a tough start to the season. But hopefully they can get it turned around. But we'll see. So, yep.
What was Shotty's message today in terms of moving forward and that kind of thing?
It was huge. Obviously, we didn't get the outcome we wanted. We knew we left a lot of stuff out there, and I think that was the biggest disappointment of it all. You go out and you score on every drive in the first half, and then don't put any points on the board when defense, gets you opportunities. And obviously it stings week 1 to take a loss like that, but it's a long season. They always say you can never let a game beat you twice, and I think that was really the message. We can't let what happened last week carry over to this week. We got another great opponent coming in here, another strong defensive front for us. So just get after it today. It was nice to have a little bonus Monday and get ready for the Giants.
What was it, that run game? Because we talked about that was a quote-unquote Achilles heel for you guys, and you seem to run the ball pretty effectively.
Yeah, I think just the mentality of the O-line, and I think too, bringing in a guy like Clayton Adams, I think it really helped, scheme-wise and that kind of thing, and and obviously having Connor Riley there too really brought, obviously I was familiar with him, but it really brought that kind of juice and that fire we needed, and that kind of finish we needed. And I think, we put on a pretty good display. Obviously, we missed some here and there that we would have liked to have back, but that's football for you. You just continue to learn, continue to grow. But I'm excited how the O-line went out week 1.
What did you learn about Javonte? First time you'd seen him live, right? He didn't play.
Yeah, dude runs hard. Like I mentioned earlier. He's one of those dudes. He's going to put his head down and get you 4, and that's all you want in a running back. Blocking schemes aren't always perfect. Sometimes there's no hole at all, but he's going to put his head down. He's not afraid of contact, and that's something that you love as an O-lineman.
He had one run. It looked like he was stopped at like 2 or 3. Maybe he got like 5 or 6 after that. What does that do for you guys?
Fires them up.
It's just a mentality thing, and really deflates other teams. When they think they have a 1-2 yard gain, you're pushing the pile. Like, it just deflates defenses, and that's really the mentality that Shotty's kind of instilled at us. We knew last year the finish wasn't good enough. That extra effort wasn't there, and that's something we're striving to get better at this year.
Was valedictorian status in high school?
Was I?
He was.
Oh,
Javonte was. Were you aware of that?
I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
No, I was not.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and end it right there. But Cooper Beebe, definitely. If this team is going to be successful, we're going to need Cooper Beebe to be a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro, without a doubt. The guy in the middle is key. He is key to everything that you want to do. Alrighty, good people. We'll see what we see. We'll keep our ears open, listening for anything that the Cowboys might do crazy-wise, and we'll see if Jerry Jones goes on 105.3 The Fan. As always, I appreciate you guys, and I will see you soon. Peace.